Okay, let's review. The second speaker for today is Lorenzo Diaz, and he will talk about the Lyapunov spectrum of non-hyperbolic homoclinic classes.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be with Boston. This time you prepare a serious winter for us. Thank you so much. Sorry?
We are Windows.
No, but yeah, very grateful because in 2 weeks I will get well enough to recover. Well, let me start with some. Well, there is in the 70s, there is a series of work by Sigmund. So they more or less roughly prove the following: if you take a set, map on a set, and you assume specification, then you have 3 sets of measures in lambda. Let me consider the set of invariant measures in lambda. You can take inside this set the set of ergodic one. Okay, and then you also have another subclass that is the set of periodic ones in measure. A periodic measure is simply a measure that is equally distributed in on a periodic orbit. And then they prove that these measures, the periodic measure, are dense in the set of invariant measures. This is the result by Sigmund. And if you want to state in the specification, I don't want to discuss what is a specification. This more or less means that you can concatenate orbits as you want. But when you are in the differentiable setting, is more or less is the same thing as hyperbolic. Okay, and then there is a series of results where I try to state state Sigmund light result beyond specification. Okay. Well, the simplest setting where you can consider this kind of question. Well, let me assume that you have a manifold of dimension 3 for Heidegger. I am going to the simplest setting, okay? And then in this setting, you may have, the central object in my talk is the homoclinic class of a saddle. Is a saddle that is a hyperbolic periodic point with at least one expanding and one contracting direction. And then you consider the closure of the stable manifold of P and the unstable manifold of P, the intersection. And this is what we call the homoclinic class of P. And then you have that this set is F invariant, is transitive, but in general, let me call this H. In general, H may fail to be hyperbolic. Okay, and then typically what happens with this set failed to be hyperbolic is the following. You are in dimension 3. Let me consider the simplest example. You have here the saddle P. That here I am assuming that has two a stable direction and one unstable direction. The saddle Q. This saddle Q has a different type of hyperbolicity than the saddle P, but you may have that the saddle Q belongs to the homogenic class in many cases. Okay. And that is the main source of difficulties that you have in the homogenic class P of P. You have saddles of contracting type and saddles of expanding, of contracting. In this case, I have two central directions, two stable directions, one to a stable direction. I am assume that you have here, to simplify my explanation, a central direction, and then you have points for which this central direction is contracting, last speed, and other points which are expanding, and these points are intermingled, and this makes very much more difficult to analyze what is the structure of the invariant measures. Okay? What is the word? You may have something like this. Assume that you have something like this. It is Q. P is stable manifold intersect here, but then when you consider the orbit, you have another intersection closer and closer. But let me then you make a test to explain the simplest example. We need to explain the simplest. Well, for me, the simplest case is the following, assuming that you have in dimension 3, okay, and you have the following situation. Take the interval 0, 1, okay, and take contract a map like this. Let me call F0. Then I proceed to state a symbolic model of this. You have two symbols, the interval 0, 1, and here you have a skew product map. Well, in the first coordinate you have the shift, okay, simply translate. And in the second coordinate, well, you have two maps. The map F0, I make the figure, and another map F1, that is like this. Okay. And then what happened in this situation? Well, you have this part that is essentially a horseshoe, and if you want to make a figure, well, now you have here the stable manifold and the unstable manifold corresponding to the shift, and you have also the similar thing for the saddle. Well, this line produces an intersection like this, but what you are doing is that the points nearby 1 return to Q on the other side. Okay. Then in this case, well, I'm telling you something that is not completely related, but let me do display. In this play, you take here the set lambda. What you have is that you look to the central exponent of lambda, that is the exponent corresponding to this central direction. T set is the following. Well, this number is beta. This expansion. This expansion is lambda. And then T set is, well, log lambda 10 union log beta. It is the component of ergodic. Well, I'm not ergodic because all the methods that you have here are ergodic. Okay? Well, in this case, if you look to the spectrum of this exponent corresponding to this set, is well, you have a gap. Here you have in this set. Well, this is a very atypical situation, or not generic. Well, what is the atypical? Why this is atypical? Because you look to this situation, okay, and then you let me take. I hope to do correctly. Well, let me call this point by Q that plays the role of this point. This point P, and the fact that F1 of 1 is equal to 0 is immediately implied that the unstable manifold of P, of this system that I consider, intersect the stable manifold of Q. If you take, let me write here, if you take the point 1 and the sequence, what is the sequence? 1, 0. This point is a point that is in the stable manifold of P, the stable manifold. This is something that is another for this situation. And let me now recall the Kluge-Meyers theorem. Well, Kluge-Meyers theorem tells us that generically, that is in a residual set, you have that periodic points are hyperbolic. And also, they say that the invariant manifold are in general position. That is that they either intersect transversely or are distant. This is well, and then one thing that I am very slow, then is well, and then my goal in this talk, I have to go there. One of the goals is to get a relative version of signal. And let me try to explain what is this relative version of signal theory. Let me consider this set. Well, I refer to isolated. PH refer to pattern hyperbolicity. And PS means refer to a strong property. I am considering classes, homogeneous classes, which are isolated. That means you have that the class H is equal to the intersection of the iterates of a neighborhood of lambda. Okay. I also assume that the splitting of this orbit, of this class orbit, has three parts. It has a strong stable direction that is contracting. You have another direction that is the strong and stable, expanding, and in the middle you have a central direction that is dimensional. Okay, and then when you have this central dimension, one-dimensional central dimension, if you have any ergodic method supported on lambda, you have that EC is a bundle of the oscillated splitting. And then you can consider the central exponent of this method. Okay, this is something that you can do. Well, another thing that, this is strongly means that you have a split like this. Okay. And then I am considering a diffio that is generic in a residual subset. Well, I will demand more conditions. Okay. What more? Okay. And then, well, if you are in a generic situation, what you know is the central exponents of the ergodic methods is an interval that they will call alpha inf alpha sub. Okay. You know, you have a range of parameters that has the Lyapunov exponent are in this parameter. And well, hyperbolicity, no hyperbolicity will mean that 0 is here in the interior of the set. And then what I can do is the following: to take a value alpha, then you can consider this set you take the value alpha, and then you look to the ergodic method that is exponent in alpha. Okay. Well, if you look to the Kuhn-Kessler theory, you have that the ergodic point hyperbolic, and then there are phanetic, countable many. And then if you look to alpha, most of the levels have doesn't contain, do not contain periodic method. Okay, because you only have countable, you have typically uncountable many levels. You have at most countable many periodic methods, and most of these parameters you cannot find any periodic method there. And then you can state a version of sigma. Well, I read the Sigmund theorem, but Sigmund theorem means that you are approaching the invariant measure or the ergodic measure by measure of low complexity of entropy zero. And then I would like to find a class of low complexity measure that maybe then in the set I am considering. Well, now I start a problem because dealing with low complexity measure is complicated. It's not clear what is a low complexity measure. Well, you can start to put some conditions. You expect that the entropy of the measure must be zero. Well, let me to tell you that this is if you want to get any density property, let me just start here. State a theorem. And then I can discuss the theorem after stating it. Theorem. This is joined with my student Camila Crispin. Then for every, well, let me assume index variability. I don't like this name, but it's the name that the people prefer. This is the name that George like to use. That means that the class H contains saddles of different types of hyperbolicity. You take a class that contains saddles of different hyperbolicity and belongs to this set. This in particular allows us to consider the central exponent. And then for every alpha in this range, well, there is a class of measures that are of low complexity. We discussed it. There is a class of methods that we call JKM method, are then in this. Okay, that the thing that you consider now here, you have the invariant. Inside the invariant, you have the ergodic. And inside the ergodic, you have the EKM method that I will explain to you what it is. And then what we have is the T set in the whole set of ergodic methods for T set. Well, these methods are in some sense low complexity because there is a result by Dominique Ivegniata and Wartka that they prove that they have entropy zero. But you know, when I start to discuss this with Dominique, Dominique told me, well, Lorenzo, this method is said that he recently proved are something that is called rank one methods. And if you go to the sub of low complexity method, this is the simplest complexity type of method that you have. If you are interested in this, this is a word that I am discovering. There is a very nice paper by, I guess, Pirenzi, I think that is like this, where they discuss all these rank one method. And this is a fantastic paper because there are no proofs. Sorry? I don't know if the wording is covered, the spelling is covered. Sebastian Perez. It's misspelled. It's misspelled. It's like this.
No, I think it's CS.
No, it's set. There is some set by Sue. Well, maybe something like this. Okay. I think that everybody knows about that. And they have two very nice papers where he discussed the rank one methods, the Ali machine methods in this case. And then it's very nice because there are no proof. I only prove the occurrence that you cannot find in the literature, and it's very nice. And then we prove this. I lost my point, sorry.
It was correct. The vote is correct. Is there C there?
Well, let me put SN. That is okay. This is the problem.
But you were not.
But I want to say something that I forgot. Well, to prove this, I want to say two things. There are here hidden, but not that much, the result that I got, the result, the philosophy of my paper with Catherine Gerfer and Michael Rams. We have developed the thing, and then more or less what we do is that we revisit this construction. Okay? But I wanted to say something else. I forgot. I got. Of course, you need here to have the genericity, but if you consider examples, and the example that I put here with this homophilic class with a cycle, you can look at this type of result. Then some genericity assumption is needed. Well, this is the result that I would like now to explain to you which are these mysterious J-kind methods. Well, I'm not well. I don't want to quote all the people, but at least two of the people are in this room. It's very good to quote them. Okay. This convenient. And now, let me explain what is this J-kind method. So this method turned out to be extremely useful in many cases, especially when you want to get approximations that you know that you don't have enough periodic method. And then, if you don't have enough periodic method, this is the A-kind method, the I-kind method from Gorogetsky, Ilyasenko, I don't know how to spell Ilyasenko, Klepsy, probably, and Nalsky. This, for people introduce this method, that the method is more or less like this. Let's start with some method. It is the method of generation 1. And then you have a second method of generation 2, that is like this. don't iterate also. Okay, this is the one. Perhaps I could use colors. This is the orange is the first orbit, the second orbit, and then of course you need to call this part of the orbit the tail. You call this part of the orbit travel path. And then if you choose the proportion of time that you are doing some tail, because if you don't have tail, maybe at the end of the day you will have a periodic method. And then if you select in a clever way the shadowing and the tail part, what you get at the end is method, the method that has supported on the orbit, converts to some method that is ergodic. Ergodic and non-periodic. More or less, the philosophy is if you have some periodic orbit, you can get this type of method as some, let me write here the principle that is a principle that is stated in one paper with Kathy Miguel is the following. It's not stated like this, but it's there. Okay? If you take mu hyperbolic and ergodic, you get some method mu with J Kn, and the distance between this method is of the order of the Lyapunov exponent of the term. This is the philosophy that you have, and for this you need to use a lot of machinery of the generic classes. Okay. Well, this I don't want to discuss this construction anymore. This is more or less the first step of our construction. But then the point here, and I will erase my blackboard in a minute, is here we are controlling use one exponent. Controlling approaches, you decide your favorite words, but you only keep control of what happens in one exponent. Okay. Now let me go to cases where you control not one exponent, but I'm going to control or to approach the full Lyapunov spectrum. Well, at this top is record, let me say that here, certainly, there is crucial two results. The result by Bonatti and Troisier about the generic properties of homogeneous classes, and also another paper by Abdelnour, Bonatti, and Troisier about approximation of invariant methods by periodic ones. Okay, this is. But I don't want to, I simply want to keep this there. Maybe Christian is checking my talk and then I don't want to complain. But this is really very important. Then the second part is something that is almost done with Katrin Genfer, Yang Wang, Shandong Wang, and Jiagan Yang. Jiagan is from the Fluminense University in Rio, and Wang is from Shanghai. Okay. Now, take new ergodic method and list the Lyapunov exponents. Well, I like to write the Lyapunov exponent in this order, sorry. You are counting with multiplicity. Okay. And then this is the Lyapunov exponent. Right? And then using the Lyapunov exponent of integrating, you can define the, well, I don't like this notation, but it's a notation that the people use. You call this the Lyapunov spectrum of mu. I don't know what the people don't call this the Lyapunov vector, but the people like to call this Lyapunov spectrum. And then we're integrating these numbers. If you have a method that is invariant, you can also consider the Lyapunov vector of any invariant method. Then you have a bunch of Lyapunov vector for all the invariant method and for all ergodic method in your system. Okay? Well, and now, well, the result is also about homogenic classes. So, also about homogenic classes. Also about genetic diffuse. The one genetic diffuse. What else? No, it's okay. And then I consider a class H. And I told you that here, we know that here the periodic points are that. And then you define the Lyapunov exponent of this set. As the following: the closure of well, you know that here, if you are in the C1 setting and you use the result, ABC, you know that the periodic method takes. Then, if you look to this definition, I think that this definition is okay. Of course, you can at the beginning try to define this as the closure of the Lyapunov vectors or spectrum of any invariant method, but then you use this property, and you have that every method is approached by periodic one. And then, of course, you have this definition in general, and then you may complain that in general this definition is not that good, but at least for homogenic classes, this is a good definition. Okay. And then the theorem that we prove. One second, please. I want to check that I said almost everything that I want to say. Okay, it's okay. 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 What we prove is that there is a residual set. Again, the fact that this set need to be generic residual is needed because the first example that I showed you that you need to put some assumption is you don't. I am not telling you that residual is the best assumption, but I think that if you try to do this in general, you will fail. You will the result is not true. Not true. You take the residual set, then you take that every vector here, every non-trivial homogenic class. Non-trivial means that at least words. And if you have at least words, you have infinitely uncountably many. Okay. If you take any non-trivial homogenic class there, and you look to the interior of this set, okay, I cannot say the boundary of the set is complicated to study. If you take any Lyapunov vector here, you have well, you have some JKM method. Okay, so that the spectrum of this method is exactly L. Okay, that is what we get. Well, let me think 2 seconds. No, sorry. I add here hypothesis that H is isolated. Certainly, the result is true for non-isolated classes, but the price that you need to pay to prove the result for non-isolated classes is 20 pages. We are very lazy, at least, I don't know, but I think that it's a price too high to pay. The result will be a not very clear paper. They prefer to start. I think that is true without isolation, but you know, all the technique here, I am in my last 15 minutes. This is, well, you need to take some measure here, close to the vector, to say. Okay. And then when you have some approximation, but all the problem that we have is, you know, we need to create new orbits. And to create new orbits, you know, well, more or less, all the problem is that you have one periodic method with very nice properties. And then you first, let me say to this here that we want to get here some ergodic method. Then you look to limits of of periodic method or ergodic method. In general, limits of ergodic method are not ergodic. Then the only way that we know to construct limits of ergodic method which are ergodic is to use this GIK method or to use the variation of the GIK method that I made with Michael. And then the thing is that you started with some periodic method with good properties, then you doing a perturbation we produce another method that mimic this one for many times and also has a plane. And then you need to repeat this infinitely many times. But you need to be sure that this new method is in the class. Well, this is given if you assume isolation. This is the thing that you have. Well, and also you know that when you do this process, at the end you will get a method that is ergodic, not periodic if you take the rates in a good way. And then just to finish, something that is I like here is that you don't have any hypothesis about the type of splitting of your periodic orbit. And then this is always tricky to deal with these things. But then how we bypass this problem? Well, there is a result, but this I like. No, this is not here. This is we have the goal. Bonatico is there, and well, indeed, someone was working with that one. And we know this, and the paper of these people was very complicated, and then we decided to write something intermediate that is that if you consider this fact, what is he said? He said are the percent point net that have real in the value with different models and multiplicity one. The derivative set is then here. Well, and these points are very good because if you look to this point, as the eigenvalues of the points are all different, are ordered, they have exactly the diagonal vector of this point. And then in some sense, we bypass the difficulty of dealing, well, we need to work the difficulty of dealing with domination of this kind of thing. We bypass considering only this type of point. I think that I will stop here. Thank you. The attention. Thank you.
So once you know that the diagonal vectors can be obtained by the GIKN measures, is there something that you can do further with it? So is there some like further application in mind?
No, I think that well, it's a good case, but I only have in mind to understand what is, since several years ago, I started to study this method with Catherine and Michael and it was some other people. And well, we are curious, we are interested to try to discover, to describe in the full generality how the space of Mesa behave. And this will provide this. What to do with this? Well, perhaps is no hyperbolic methods. You may have some unstable, local central manifolds. This I don't know, but they will be extremely, I can't tell you, but I have no clue how this kind of things may be obtained. You have a class of measure, which, from my point of view, is the simplest class that generalize the periodic point. You will need this method because only with the periodic point you cannot fill all the space, and that is, I don't know how they study the Mesa procedure. No, perhaps we need to study how are the to say the central manifold at least behave or something, but I don't have any clear idea of what to do with this.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, then let's thank you for this again. Next week.